Today, I'm going to show you a great hack for making your skirt bigger. I love this skirt, but it does not fit. There is a giant gap here in the back, and I'm going to show you how to fix that without letting out all the seams. So follow along closely to learn how. So normally, when you're making something bigger, you're going to let out all of the seams until it lets out as big as you would like it. But this one's a hack because we're not going to do that. We're going to do something much faster. Today, I'm going to be using a dress form. So if you have a dress form that's your size, go ahead and use that. And if you don't, that's okay. Use yourself. So what we're going to do is pull the skirt up till it's nice and comfortable on your hips and your waist, and see if you can zip it up. I want you to be able to zip it up to your waist. And when you can zip it up to your waist and it's comfortable everywhere else, then we are good and ready for our next step, which is to chalk in your new waistline. So grab your favorite marking tool and let's chalk in the new waistline. Using a dress form, just follow that twill tape. If it's on yourself, just follow your natural waistline or wherever you want your skirt to hit you. It could be at your low waist as well. So you can really see a difference between the new waistline and the old waistline that's on the skirt. There we go. We have a new waistline chalked out. And what are we going to do with this line that we just chalked? We are going to chop off everything above it, plus we're going to leave our seam allowance, but we're going to chop off all of this fabric, and this is going to be our new finished waistline. Now, there's a few things you need to keep in mind before you go cutting this off. If you've raised this skirt 4 or 5 inches up higher, you're gonna have to seam rip out your zipper and re-put in your zipper after you cut off the fabric at the waist here. Now mine, I'm just raising it about 1 inch from the natural waist, so I don't need to re-put it in the zipper. I can actually just chop off a bit of the zipper and flip it down. But again, if you're raising this skirt up really high, you need to take out that zipper and re-put it in. You need to make sure your zipper is at least coming down to your hip level so you can step into the skirt, especially if it's fitted. If it's flared, you can probably get away with a shorter zipper. And before you hit the point of no return, if you are doing this on a dress form, make sure you try this on yourself to make sure you can get in and out of it where the zipper is. And if you've got it on yourself right now, well, you're gonna figure that out. So before we cut anything off, we need to measure up 1/2 inch from that line we drew because we need some fabric to turn under to finish the waistline. So I'm going to use my seam gauge and just go all the way around the waist, marking up 1/2 inch. Now that I have everything marked, we can go ahead and cut at that new line that I just drew. And you might be thinking, isn't that crazy? She's gonna cut right through that zipper. Well, you can totally cut through nylon zippers. Just make sure your zipper is zipped down so that way you don't have to try and put that zipper pull back on because that's a real pain. If you've got a metal zipper, be really careful if you try cutting through it so you don't ruin your scissors. But you can totally do that. And if you wanna know how, make sure you check out my video on that. All right, let's chop it up. Can you believe it? We just chopped the top of the skirt right off. Let's take a look at what we have now. You can already see that our waistline is looking bigger, but now that we've opened up all of these seams by cutting right through them, we're gonna have to go back to every seam and back stitch it so that way it doesn't fall apart. And whatever you do, don't zip up your zipper right now because that pull is gonna pop right off. So let's head over to the sewing machine and start putting the skirt back together. So I'm at one of the seams at the top of my skirt. And what I want to do is just sew back over the top 1 inch here. So I'm going to make sure that I'm back stitching at the beginning here, coming all the way down and making sure that I'm back stitching again because we really want to lock the seam in place because we just cut through it. So you're just reinforcing the top of the seam here that we cut through, and you're gonna do this to any seams on your skirt that you cut through. So what we just did was reinforced all the seams that we cut into, so that way when we pull on them now, they're not going to fall apart. So moral of the story, any seam you cut into, it's gonna fall apart, so you have to go back and back stitch it together. Now what we need to do is finish this raw edge here at the top of the skirt. So you've got options for this. You can zigzag it, you can overcast it, you can serge it, you can put a piece of bias binding there. Today, I'm going to be overcasting my edge to clean it up. And again, we're doing this because we don't want the edge of our fabric to just keep falling apart on us. It is no longer going to fray past that point where I have that overcast stitch right now. So now I have one step left, and that is turning this under to the inside 1/2 inch and stitching it down. And I'm doing a 1/2 inch because that's what I left for my seam allowance. You could have left 1/4, 5/8, whatever you like, but mine was a 1/2 inch, so I'm going to flip it down to the inside 1/2 inch. And I'm going to be using a straight stitch to stitch this down. And don't worry, I'm going to go over exactly how to deal with this zipper over here. So when we start with the zipper, we want to make sure that it's flipped in, especially if you have that invisible zipper. And now we're going to fold it over a 1/2 inch. And we can go ahead and just start right where the zipper teeth are and back stitch and come all the way around. So by back stitching right here, it's going to lock it in place. When we're at the end, we're going to come all the way over to where those zipper teeth are. Make sure you go through the part of the zipper teeth that's folded back, back stitch, come forward again. Really reinforce this little area here because we don't want that zipper pull to come off. And cut. So now we have a nice finish along the top of our skirt. It's really important that your zipper comes all the way up to the top, and no matter how far or hard I pull, it's not going to fall off. And then on the inside, we have a nice clean finished edge that's turned under, and you can see how nice and clean the zipper looks as well. Our skirt is looking so good, and it zips up all the way to the waist. Yes, the skirt got a little bit shorter on the bottom, but not much, just an inch. Our princess lines still look beautiful. They fit the body nice. We have a nice clean finished waistband. Our zipper goes all the way up to our new waist, and we are looking beautiful. Nobody would ever know we even altered this, but it's going to fit so much better. And it fits great in the front too. Our waist is nice and flat. We have our beautiful princess lines, and now we can actually wear the skirt. Super exciting. This method is great as an alternative to letting out seams. Let's say your skirt only had 2 seams in it and you couldn't let it out enough to fit your waist. This would be a great way to make it bigger to fit your waist, is by raising up the skirt and giving it a new waistline. Yes, your hem does get a little bit shorter, but as long as you can afford for the hem to get a little bit shorter, this method works awesome. And if your hem gets too short when you do this, you could always put a ruffle down there or add an extension of fabric. Get creative with it. A sewing hack to me is something that's unconventional in sewing and goes against the grain of conventional sewing. And I just love something that's quick and easy and gets the job done. What are some of your favorite sewing hacks? I would love to know. Leave them down below in the comments. Thanks so much for watching Sewing Anastasia today. If you have any questions about our sewing hack of making the waistline bigger in your skirt, leave it down below and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. If you enjoyed this video today, give it a thumbs up and give it some applause. And if you're not already a subscriber to Sewing Anastasia, well, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when the new videos come out. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for watching today. These videos are for you guys. And if you're in Chicago, come on into the design studio and take a class with me, or check out our virtual options as well. And you can find those at sewinganastasia.com. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.